Dr. Evil Genius here with a commentary for the Talk Shit podcast. I'm also a man that really does need to go to the barber shop, so don't roast me too hard. All right, you see the title of the video. Does the average man deserve cooperation from a woman? Last week, Anton Daniels, who I'm a fan of, he's a co-founder of the Lepeef Network. So shout out to those guys over there. He had some very interesting words to say on his personal YouTube channel. He declares that an average man that makes about $50,000 a year does not deserve to have sex, does not deserve a submissive woman. We're going to use the word cooperative because some people have a difficult time focusing on the message and want to focus on words that they believe to be demeaning. So we're gonna use the word cooperative. Men who earn $50,000 a year, which is around the average for white men in the United States. For Asian men, it's a little over 60,000, and for black men, it's around 41.5. Last but not least, and especially when it comes to this particular subject, Hispanic men are somewhere in that $36,000 to $37,000 per year rate. So Anton seems to believe that the vast majority of men should not have sexual access. And the first thing that comes up to my mind is when people don't get their needs met, and sex is pretty low on the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Sex is a need for both males and females of our species. So when you tell the vast majority of men listening to your content that they do not deserve to have a very basic need met, advocating for some very adverse conditions, a pretty negative environment, societal environment in which you would inhabit. Because as you guys know, I'm an advocate for the American worker, for the worker really around the world, but more particularly in the zone that I reside in and that I have knowledge about. I advocate very much for the American worker. I believe that they deserve respect. I believe that many are underpaid, undercompensated, underrespected. So to hear somebody that I respect advocating for more people to get less of what they need, knowing the effect of what happens when people don't get their needs met, I was very disappointed. I commented on that particular, I did not comment on his video. I commented on O'Shea Duke Jackson's video, who reviewed it. People who have problems in our society, when other people don't care about what they're going through, they tend to make their problem somebody else's problem. And if you're telling a bunch of hardworking men who are underpaid, undercompensated, many of whom probably should be making six figures for what they do, but it's not in line with corporate interests, it's not what's good for the shareholder, for the investor, to pay people what they deserve, to judge men based upon what they make, without factoring in the hard work that they put in every day, I think is a very dangerous message to put out. I'm a firm believer that when you only care about yourself, you end up harming yourself in the end. We should all want the best possible lifestyle for any given person, because desperate people do desperate things. When people turn their desperation inward, you get a lot of self-destructive behavior, not limited to, but certainly including self-termination. And for those that turn it externally, these are the people that will take their problems and make them your problem. A lot of the mass violence that goes on, what is a common thread in many of the complaints that these people have when they commit these mass acts of violence? They complain about not getting basic needs met, or that people don't care. And you're free. You're well within your right to not give a single fuck about what other people go through. But when you're out and about and there's some road rage that happens, or somebody wants to bring a weapon into a public institution and start firing it indiscriminately, those people that you said you don't really give a fuck about, now they just gave you a reason to give a fuck about them. People with problems tend to make their problems the problems of other people. And I recognize this from both sides as a person that's doing okay in life today, and from the perspective of somebody who, lived as a homeless person here in New York City. I listened to what Kevin Samuels had to say on his Wednesday night live stream, where he asked the question, how much is a woman's cooperation worth? How much does she charge annually for her cooperation? And without saying Anton's name directly, he made it very, very clear that he does not agree with what Anton Daniels had to say. And he used $50,000 as the baseline to keep in line with that argument, and saying, the only way that people like Kevin Samuels and Anton Daniels are able to make the money that they do and enjoy the lifestyles that they have is because of the infrastructure set up by the average man. The average man makes it possible for Anton Daniels to tell everybody his war stories about how, he, came up from losing everything during, the banking crisis from 2008. And remaking himself and becoming somebody who has a net worth north of 7 figures. The only way that you get that is because of the infrastructure put in place, provided to you by their hard work, the average man. And it's really funny to me how Anton could say these things when he talks about his struggles when he lost everything and how his woman stuck by him. Are you saying that your wife should have left you when you lost everything? Is that what you're trying to say? Because you certainly did not send her away when you were struggling financially. You didn't say, I don't deserve to have sex. I don't deserve your support because I'm not currently making over $50,000 right now. No, she stuck by your side and helped you rebuild everything. And that's why you give her the credit that she deserves. And Kevin, when he talks about people constantly trying to shit on the average man, he will bring up the same group of men that I brought up last, the Hispanic man, who brings up the rear in average annual earnings here in the United States, sub $40,000 a year. And one of the things that we notice is they don't have the low marriage rates that we have in the Black community. So let me flip the argument a little bit. What if we men said, you know what? If you don't do X, Y, and Z, women, you are undeserving of protection. There would be an uproar. Oh, women, you don't deserve to be protected unless you do this amount of things, or you weigh this amount, or you make this amount, or you cook this number of dishes. We wouldn't be accepting of that as a society. And again, I'll say it over and over and over and over again. This is why the Talking Shit podcast exists. Because even men who are pro-male will still leak out these examples of anti-male bias. I don't know too many lazy guys that make $50,000 a year. I don't know a single one, actually. We are in an economy that is so perversely set up, so fucked up, to judge a man on his nominal earnings. When we know, you talk to any economist, the average American worker is sorely underpaid, undervalued, undercompensated, underrespected. It's a very, very disappointing thing to hear from Anton, particularly because I respect many of his opinions. But now I want to hear your opinions as an audience. Down in the comments section below, what do you think of the average man and how much he should have to make in order to have peace in his home, in order to have a mate? How much do you think he should have to earn. Do you agree with Kevin's position? The people that make it possible for the white collar workers to make the money they do should get respect? Or do you think more on Anton's side? Sound off in the comment section below. We'll see you in the next one.